Let me just get my sefer. Second, with one hand. Okay. All right. Let's go and start with our favorite thing to do, Navi. We are in the book of Shmuel Bet, Samuel 2, and we are going to be reading chapter 20. All right. What is the topic about? What's the story about? Samuel 2, chapter 20. I'll give you the context, and then I'll read you the short story from Prophets. We are talking now about David HaMelech. He has become the king. Shaul is dead. Shaul died already by Shmuel Aleph at the end of Samuel 1. And so Shaul's gone. David HaMelech now is king. The other door. David HaMelech is the king. And he's been through a lot of trials and tribulations and hard times. As we all know, David HaMelech had a really rough time. A whole chain of events. His son Amnon raped his daughter Tamar. And then Amnon was avenged by Absalom. So Absalom killed Amnon. And then when Absalom came back, who killed Absalom? Yoav. Yoav, the general of David, killed Absalom. I'm going like this a lot of chapters, but I'm going really quick. And David HaMelech, he was so sad and distraught when Yoav, his general, Yoav Nisruya, his relative, question who Nisruya was, but the Pashup shot is that it was his sister's son, nephew. He was so distraught that his great general, Yoav bin Tzruya, killed his son Absalom when his son Absalom rebelled against him, that he demoted Yoav from position of general. And so Yoav was no longer the general. Yoav was David's general most of David's tenure, most of his time. But where we are right now in this chapter is right after Yoav was demoted. Yoav was demoted, and his cousin Amasa was nominated to be general instead. We have a person from Binyamin, from the tribe of Binyamin, who was Shaul's tribe. Now Shaul is already gone. But this person's name was Sheva ben Bichri. Sheva ben Bichri decided he wants to rebel, and he wants to become the king, and he wants no part of David HaMelech. And he starts getting national support. And so this is a person who's rebelling on the King David, and that's a death penalty. And so Sheva ben Bichri starts saying, I am the king. The tribe of Binyamin has the kingship still, and David HaMelech has to put this guy down. And so what does he do? He just demoted his general Yoav. Yoav was demoted. He's just a regular soldier. So he tells Amasa, you're the new guy. I want you to go get the troops, meet here in 3 days, and go to the towns and go look for this guy Sheva, who's challenging my kingship, and take care of him, capture him or whatever, kill him if you need to. You can't have a rebellion. Amasa didn't show up on time. And so what happens? Yoav and his brother, they start marching with all the troops. Amasa comes while they're marching, and he joins the troops. He comes late. Amasa is the nominated general. He joins late. And now they meet up. Yoav ben Tzruya, he was so angry at Amasa. Why? Well, A, because he just lost his job to him. He used to be the general. Yoav was one of the mightiest, most powerful people in the kingdom. And now he was demoted for this guy. And this guy was late. And he also felt, he could say from like a Torah view, that he rebelled. Amasa rebelled against the king by being late. The king said, be here in 3 days. He wasn't here on time. And so that's a rebellion on the king. You have to obey orders. And so Yoav maybe felt that Amasa had the death penalty on his head. Long story short, as with a lot of stories in Nach, they're not easy to read, and they break your heart, and they're ugly. But Yoav goes to his cousin Amasa as they meet up, and he says, "Hey, Ahi, how are you, my brother? Come." And as the Navi says, he puts his right hand on his beard, on his face, to give him a kiss, and he takes his sword. Navi said his sword, which is usually straight, and they pull a sword like this. He made his sword, what's the word, horizontal. Therefore, it could easily slip out. And so you take him with his right here to with his right hand to his beard, to his face to kiss him, and his sword slipped right out. And with his left hand, he stabbed him, and he killed him. And so Yoav killed Amasa. He just killed the nominated general of King David. Yoav was the general of King David for years, and so now he's back to being the man. It's a string of events in Tanakh, in Nach, that's not fun. It all starts with, it really started way back when. If you want to look at the chain, in the book of Shemuel, Avner ben Ner, he was the general for Shaul HaMelech. Yoav ben Tzruya was the general for David. Avner was killed by Yoav. Avner's guys, you know the story? You know the story of the duel? You know the old-fashioned Western duel? You know, like the old-fashioned cowboy movies where, take 12 steps, turn around and shoot. And so they were standing by a pool of water, it says. And they happened to be Yoav's general guys and Avner's guys. And Avner said, hey, why don't we have like a little training exercise? 12 guys on 12. Let's see what happens. Not necessarily to the death. And then what happened was everyone started killing each other. It became a massive fight. And because that it led to Avner killed someone, and someone had to kill him in return, and it led to a whole string of events. And so, unfortunately, now we're standing here with Yoav. He just killed Amasa, and he's the man in charge. And he's very unpredictable right now. He's very powerful. He just killed the standing general, and now he's on the march to find Sheva ben Bichri, this guy from the tribe of Binyamin who's challenging David. What is he going to do when he finds him? Probably destruction. That's the context of where we are. Okay? And so this is a recipe for disaster. What happens? Chapter 20. I'll read it for you in English. I'm using the Art Scroll English. There was a person by the name of Sheva ben Bichri. He was from Binyamin. And he said, we have no part in David. Every man back to his tents. They wanted to follow Sheva ben Bichri. And so, what happened is, he goes and runs. I'm reading the second half of chapter 20. He passed through all the tribes, and he went to the town of Avel. Avel was a very big city. A lot of people there, innocent people. A lot of innocent citizens in Avel. It's a fortified, walled city, and this guy, Sheva ben Bichri, who's a fugitive and a challenge to the king, is hiding in this city. And so what happens? Yoav and his troops came, and they besieged the city of Avel. They made a siege around the wall, and they decided if he doesn't come out, they're going to do whatever it takes to take him out. And so probably the whole city will be destroyed, and who knows how many thousands of innocent women, children, civilians will be killed as well. There was a wall around the city. And so what does the Tanakh say? They put a ramp against the city so they can climb up and try to knock down the walls. And they started demolishing to topple the wall of the city. Once the wall is finished, everybody inside is probably going to be finished. Here's the point. Exactly the words of Tanakh, okay? In English from Art Scroll. A wise woman called out from the city, from inside the city. A wise woman. Listen, listen. Please say to Yoav, the general, come close here so that I may speak to you. And so he came close to her. And the woman said, are you Yoav? He replied, I am. She said, hear the words of your maidservant. He said, I'm listening. She spoke, saying, your men should have spoken at the start. Talked to us first, saying, let them ask if in Avel, if the people would surrender and give this guy, Sheva ben Bichri, up. You're supposed to negotiate first with words. That's the way the Jewish people have wars. You don't just start sieging and destroying the wall. You talk to them first, send a messenger. We would have made peace. I represent the loyal, faithful people of Israel, says this woman. You are seeking to annihilate a metropolis in Israel, a massive city. Metropolis is a big city. Why will you swallow up the heritage of Hashem? In Hebrew, what did she say? She says, Vatikra Isha Hachama, a wise woman calls out, and she says, Shim'u, 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 Imura. Listen, listen, very like poetic. Listen, listen. And she says, Daberi daberu, spoken, you should have spoken. You should have spoken to us. Double words. Why? You should have said to us, Sha'ol yish'alu. Again, double words. You should have asked us to the city of Abel for this guy, Sheva. Anochi, I am Shilume Emunei Israel. The English translates this as a representative. How does it say? I represent the loyal, faithful people of Israel. Anochi, I am Shilume Emunei Israel. Atam mivakesh lehamit. You want to kill, eat a city, ve'em Israel, and a metropolis in Israel. Lama tibala nahalat Hashem. Why do you want to swallow up the inheritance of God? Yoav answers her and says, Far be it, halila halila, hasbi shalom, halila v'chas. Far be it from me that I should swallow you up and destroy you. Let me tell you what happened. A man from Mount Ephraim, his name is Sheva ben Bichri. He raised up his hand against the king, against David. If you turn him over alone to us, I will go away from the city. The woman then said to Yoav, you got it. His head will be thrown over the wall, and then everyone else lives. In her wisdom, Pasuk 22, in her wisdom, she goes to the people now. Now what's her job? She had a private meeting with Yoav the general. Now she has to go back and break the news to the townspeople. They got to take some guy, chop his head off, and throw it over the wall. In her wisdom, the women went to all the people, and they cut off the head of Sheva ben Bichri, the rebel, and they threw it over the wall to Yoav. He sounded the shofar, and all the soldiers disbanded from the city. Every man went back, and all the people were safe. She saved the whole city from destruction. Who is this woman? Trivia of the day. It doesn't say her name. Who is this wise woman that saved the whole city from disaster? 3 guesses. First 2 don't count. This woman, says the commentaries, was none other than Serah bat Asher. Serah bat Asher. Serah, the daughter of Asher, the one who we know broke the news to Yaakov Avinu. She lived maybe even more. Or maybe she never even died. Serah bat Asher is the one who told Yaakov Avinu that Yosef is still alive. This is the girl, Yaakov's granddaughter, or maybe great-granddaughter, some people say, who when Yaakov would never believe and he would have a heart attack if they told him, your son Yosef is still alive. They said, what do we do? There was a wise girl. She was a wise girl. She had a way with words. And she said, let me do it. She took the harp. And what did she say? Your son is still alive. What were her exact words? Now, none of this is in the Tanakh, obviously. This is all the Midrash. Gemara says this. Some people say their words were Od Yosef Hai. I mean, it says in the Pasuk, Od Yosef Hai. What was the song she sang? I can tell you, according to the Midrash Agadol, the exact words of her song. It has the lyrics. They rhyme. The Midrash Agadol says her song, now I don't know the tune. I don't play the harp. But her words, said the Midrash, were Yosef b'Mitzrayim, Yulidu lo Abirkaim, Menashe ve'Ephraim. This is what her words. Yosef is in Egypt. On his lap were born Menashe and Ephraim. It rhymes. Yosef b'Mitzrayim, Yulidu lo Abirkaim, Menashe ve'Ephraim. This is her song over and over. What's that? Yosef Mitzrayim? Who's on his Birkaim, on his lap? Who's who? Oh, Menashe and Ephraim, he has kids. These are the words. Serah bat Asher, she had a way with words. Now, if you go read this again, see the way she uses her words like a poet. She says to Yoav, she says, Shim'u, Shim'u, listen, oh listen, the poet. And she says, Daber, Yidaber, spoken, you should have spoken. Sha'ol, Yish'al, you should have asked and asked. She was a wise woman. The Gemara, the Midrash says, we say in Eshet Hayel, Pia patha b'chokhmah, v'torat chesed al lashona. She opens her mouth with wisdom. Who opens her mouth with wisdom, says the Midrash? Serach bat Asher, when she saved the city from destruction. She saved thousands and thousands of people from death. What did she do that was so wise? So the Mahari Kera, a commentary on the Navi, he says, she had a way with persuasion. She knew how to get a message across to someone. And so she first went out to Yoav, and with her poetic words, she spoke. Now she was an old, wise woman, and he listened to her. And she said, what are you here for? I'm here for Sheva b'michli. We'll give him to you. What do you got to destroy everyone for? Now she has to go back to the town of Avel and convince them to take a member, even though it seems that he wasn't a member, a citizen of that town, but he was a Jewish person in the town, and turn him over. And so says the Ma'ari Kira, she went back to the townspeople. Said, guess what? I just had a talk with Yoav, the general. You did? He told me that we have to send over 100 people. If we send 100 people, he'll go away. I said, 100 people? Can you do anything else? Maybe he'll do 50 people? Just let me ask him. So he goes back to the wall. She doesn't ask anybody. She pretends. She comes back to them. She says, no, I just had a talk with Yoav. He said he'll do it for 50. Maybe he'll even do 25. Wouldn't that be great? People, yeah, it'll be amazing. Let me go back to him. She goes back to the wall, talks to the wall. She comes back. Maybe he just said he'll do it for 25, but I'm going to try for 10. 5, 6 times. She comes back. She says, guess what, guys? I got him to agree. All he wants is the rebel. Sheva ben Bithri. Everyone else is safe. Isn't that a great deal? Sign us up. Everyone says, sign us up. Send them over. Fling over the head. They send them over. She saved the entire town from destruction. As I said, Yoav ben Tzruya was very unpredictable at that state in his life. He just killed his cousin. He just lost his job and he was fighting for his power. And he kind of became a general again right after this. And so who knew what he was going to do? She saved the whole town. This is Serach bat Asher. Serach bat Asher is also the woman who told Moshe Rabbeinu where Yosef's coffin was. Nobody knew where it was. Yosef made them swear to take my bones to Egypt, to Israel. Moshe came and said, where's his bones? Where did they bury him? And so they said, go ask her. She knows everything, this lady. She's a wise woman. They went to Serach. And Serach told Moshe, oh, they buried him in the Nile. He's right there. Go take him out. Even before that, when Moshe Rabbeinu came and said, I have a word from God, the people didn't listen to him, says in Tanakh. They didn't believe Moshe Rabbeinu. People were very stubborn. Victor Miller says, our stubbornness was a good thing. We're very stubborn. We're very resistant to new ideas. I don't know. I'm not a Christian, so I can't speak for Christians, but I have an idea. If you come and say, oh, God, Jesus just spoke to me. Oh, what did he say? In Judaism, if you say, come say, God just spoke to me. All right, go in the crazy house. We don't do this. Right? We're very stubborn people. Don't tell me any nonsense. Yeah. Moshe Rabbeinu says, God just spoke to me, guys. We're taking you out of Egypt. All right, go jump in the lake. We don't do this. Even Mashiach. I always wonder, are we going to accept Mashiach when he comes? I would assume most Jews right now would not accept Mashiach. Relax, you know. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't believe him. So you know what he did? They went to Serach bat Asher. They said, Serach, this person claims that he's the real Mashiach, taking us from Egypt. She says, does he have the code word? What were the words? He said, what's the code word? Pakod yifkod, also double lashon, double words. Remember, I shall remember, says Hajim. Said, oh, he said that. He's the one. Serach bat Asher is the wise woman who was leading us all the way back then throughout our journey. She's counted as one of the people who entered Israel. And she was even around here, 500 something years later, as Akiva said, in the story of Shemuel. In fact, The Midrash says that Yaakov Avinu blessed her after she played the song and said, "You should never see death." And she never saw death. She's counted as one of the people who never died. The Zohar says, this is a cryptic Zohar, kind of mysterious, but the Zohar writes that there are 6 chambers where men are not allowed in these chambers. Right? Imagine that. Only women are allowed in the chambers. As you get close to God, there are 6 chambers. The Zohar says 4 of the chambers, in one of the chambers is Batya, the daughter of Paro, Bitya. And with her are tens of thousands of women, no men, and they study godliness all day long. They learn about God all day long. And once a day, I think it says, I could be wrong, I think it's once a day, this is what it says. I know the page number, it's Zohar 167, I believe. Once a day, the image of Moshe Rabbeinu comes to the entrance of the chamber. Doesn't come in. And she comes out to greet Moshe Rabbeinu image, and she says, "How lucky am I that I got to raise this child?" And all the women rejoice with her. And the Zohar says that they're hidden behind curtains, these women, and no men can go behind the curtain. There's another chamber, this one also with tens of thousands of women, and this is led by Serah Bat Asher, says the Zohar. Serah. There's another one, the Zohar says 4 of them. Another one is Devorah, and another one is Yocheved, Moshe Rabbeinu's mother. And that one is interesting, actually. The Zohar says the chamber of Yocheved, also tens of thousands of women with Yocheved as their like Rabbanit. And every single day they sing Shirat Hayam. And she sings the Miriam part, where the women play. That's what they do over there. Tens of thousands of women, no men allowed. It seems from the Zohar, the way they word it, my tiny little opinion, that this is like an exalted place. Not it's a women's section out there, down there. No, it's a women's section up there that the men would want to go into, but they're not allowed. Serah Bat Asher, says Midrashim, she's in Gan Eden right now, alive. She has a way with words. She knows how to persuade and get her message across. Yes. Well, Yocheved for sure, and Batya for sure. Serah
is the one who says this is the right.
Yeah, you're right. She's the one who told Moshe. Yeah. Listen, the women are always the ones. We have the women are the foundation of the Judaism, obviously. But yes, very good. Yosef, Moshe. We have another time where we look in the Parashah at words and trying to persuade and convince someone. If we look at the way the Parashah starts, Vayigash elav Yehuda comes, and he's trying to convince Yosef to let them go and not keep Binyamin. Interestingly, by the way, over here we have Yehuda and Binyamin. Yehuda going up against Yosef. These are the two. The Midrash says that there's an ox and a lion doing combat down here in this world. When this happened, Yehuda, who's the lion, Yosef is the ox, and they're fighting and going head to head. The two kings, the two leaders of Israel, Yehuda and Yosef. But Yehuda is sticking up for his brother Binyamin. Yehuda is putting his life on the line to defend little Binyamin. Says the Midrash, this never stopped. Yehuda defending the little Binyamin never stopped forever. And if you look forward, Shaul, who was the first king, he was from the tribe of Binyamin. Bless you. When he was in trouble and Goliath the giant, was going to wipe him out, he needed help. Who came to save the day? David, who's from Yehuda. David is paying back. Yehuda defended Binyamin in our Parashah. Now Yehuda is again defending Binyamin. David HaMelech is again defending his little brother Shaul. This pattern never stopped. And says the Midrash, throughout David HaMelech's life, he could have killed Shaul 100 times, but he never killed him. Why? Because my grandpa Yehuda said, Anochi Ayabenu, I am responsible for Binyamin, for my little brother. And so I'm responsible also for Shaul. Even though he's higher than me in power right now, we have a tradition. Yehuda takes care of Binyamin. In the Beit HaMikdash, they share the territory. Yehuda and Binyamin. Who are we right now? What tribes are we from? Probably Yehuda or Binyamin. We're the two, and Kohanim, Levi. The three tribes that basically made it. It's possible we have some scattered other tribes, but the 10 tribes are exiled and lost, most of them. So right now, most of the Jews out there are either Yehuda or Binyamin or Levi. And so Yehuda and Binyamin have a kinship, a brotherly bond forever. Okay, but let's go back to the persuasion. Yehuda, it's interesting if you look at this. Reuven was the firstborn. He should have been in charge. He should have been the leader of the family. But there's 3 times where Yehuda takes over as being in charge that I want to point out. Number 1, if we look back, when they took Yosef, the brothers, and they wanted to kill him, in the beginning of the story, Reuven sticks up for his brother Yosef as the leader. At that time, Reuven was still the leader of the family, right? And so Reuven sticks up and he says, what does he say? His exact words. Let's read it for you. Reuven says to the brothers, "Vayishma Reuven, v'yatzilo mi'adam vayomer lo nakinu nafesh." We should not kill. No, throw him in the pit. That's a command. Reuven, I'm in charge. Do not kill. He didn't save him all the way. They did throw him in a pit, but they still got rid of him. Yehuda is the one who really saved him. A couple of Pesukim later, Vayomer Yehuda says, Ma betza, what gain that we kill our brother? And so, obviously, they still wanted to kill the brother, right? Reuven said, don't kill him, throw him in the pit. They threw him in the pit. And then 3 Pesukim later, Yehuda says, what will we gain by killing him? So Reuven obviously didn't work. Reuven's advice didn't work. They were still going to kill him. Yehuda says, why should we kill him? What do we gain from it? What does his death do for us? At least if we sell him, we can get something for it. And they listened to Yehuda. Reuven 0 for 1. Yehuda 1 for 1. Another time. Now we fast forward to the story where Yosef has Shimon in jail. Last week's parasha. And Yosef says, if you want Shimon to go free, you got to bring Binyamin. I want to see this kid Binyamin. And so what happens? Reuven tells his father. Reuven says, let me have him. Let me take Binyamin to Egypt. I'll be responsible for him. I'm the oldest. I'll be responsible for him. He says. Reuven tells his father, my 2 sons you can kill should die. If I don't bring your 2 sons back, I promise you, I'll be responsible. Yaakov says, no, no, not going to work. I'm not sending the kids with you. Rashi says over there, Yaakov says, what a shoteh, the bechor shoteh. What kind of logic is this? You could kill my kids, my son should die if I don't bring them back to you. These are my grandsons. Well, no, I'm not. The answer is no. You can't have Binyamin in Reuven. Reuven strikes out again. Strike 2. Who gets him? Yehuda. Yehuda says to the father, give me the kid Binyamin, and I'll take him. I'll be responsible for him. And Yaakov says, why'd you tell me I had another kid? And Yehuda says, the guy told us that we have to bring him. And he started asking us questions about our family. Shaul Sha'al Aish, he asked us about our family. Do you have a father? Do you have a brother? And we told him, were we supposed to know that he would say to bring him? I was supposed to know he was to say, bring the kid here. I told him we have a relative. Yaakov says, take Binyamin. Yehuda says, Anochi erbenu, I'll be responsible. Take him. Strike 2, Reuven, not successful, being the leader. Yehuda, again, successful. He's able to convince other people to do what he wants, to listen to him. And now, fast forward to our parasha, when Binyamin is in trouble, because now they have Binyamin, and he was caught with the goblet, and Yehuda says, Vayigash elav Yehuda, I'm going to get this kid back from Yosef. Where's the Reuven? Not a word. It seems that Reuven gave up. It seems that Reuven, no one listens to me. I tried to save Yosef, no one listens to me. I tried to talk to my dad to bring my kid. He said, Bechot shoteh, dumb idea. No one listens to me. He didn't even try. Yehuda, he says, I'm the guy. I'm going to convince this guy. He stands up to Yosef. What does he tell Yosef? He says, let me tell you something. My father, he lost the first kid, Yosef. All he has left from his favorite wife is Binyamin. He says, can I go home without Binyamin? You tell me something right now. How can I go home without Binyamin? He'll die. How can I go home? Yosef says, Lo yachol leitafek. I can't handle this anymore. I give up. The ruse is up. I am Yosef. Take the kid home. Yehuda successful a third time in a row. And so we see this pattern. And so what's different about Reuven and Yehuda? Why Reuven, he can't get other people to do what he's saying? And why Yehuda, he keeps winning? And Yehuda becomes the leader of Klal Yisrael. And Reuven loses it. And the torch is passed to Yehuda. Why is Yehuda the leader? Why does he have his words? They're able to convince other people. And so a couple of things. First of all, there's a very interesting pshat. Look at what they said. If you go back to the second part, when they're trying to get Binyamin to come to Egypt, and they're talking to Yaakov, come on, send the kid with us. He'll be okay. Reuven tells his father, Dad, let me have Binyamin. If I don't send him back to you, my two sons should die. Yaakov says, no. Yehuda says, Dad, let me have Binyamin. I'll be responsible for him. Yaakov says, yes. On a very basic level. You know why? Yaakov right now, he's in pain. He's suffering. He lost a child. No one should ever lose a child. But I mean, none of us should ever experience this. Yaakov lost a child. He's facing the prospects of losing another child. He's petrified of this. The Reuven comes to him and he says, hey, come on, you got to do it. Give me the kid. Yaakov says, no, you have no idea. You have no idea what I'm going through right now or what I'm scared of. The answer is no. Yehuda. What do I know about Yehuda? Yehuda had two kids and then a third. Ed, and he died. Onan, and he died. Yehuda comes to Yaakov as a fellow sufferer, saying, what are you afraid of? I know what you're afraid of. You lost one kid. You don't want to lose another one. Guess what? I lost two kids. I know exactly what you feel like, and I know exactly what you're afraid of. I can identify exactly with what you're feeling. I'm not going to let it happen to you. Don't worry. Reuven, you have no idea what I'm going through. Yehuda, you know what I'm going through. Because you can identify, I'm comfortable that I know that you know what I feel. I'm comfortable sending the kid with you. Which is a whole lesson within itself. When people in our circles are going through a hard time, and we want to talk to them and give advice and tell them what to do, do you know what they're going through? Have you been in their shoes? Most of the times, no. Then how can you expect them to just do what you say? On some level, if we can let the person feel, I get you. I get what you're feeling. They'll be more open to what you're saying, which is the hardest thing in the world, which I think many times when people talk to us and ask us for help, what they want is not advice. What they want is a good listen. They want to feel that we understand what they're going through. If we can sort of get that message across to someone, that's what they need. And then they'll listen to what we have to say. If you've been through what they're going through, play that card. I've been there. I understand that you lost your job. I also lost my job once. It's a horrible feeling. The person lets their guard down now, and they're open to what you have to say. But if you're the Reuven, you've never been through what I've been through. You just come preach, hey, Give me the kid. No, I'm not giving you my kid. The pain is too much. But I want to talk about the pattern of the 3 times where Reuven struck out and the 3 times Yehuda was successful. And I want to point out one thing. Look at the words they use and how they say it. The first time, Reuven, when the brothers snatch Yosef and they want to kill him, what does Reuven say to them? Lo nakenu nafesh. We're not killing a kid. We are not committing murder. That's a statement. Lo nakenu nafesh, Yehuda says. Reuven says, we are not killing the kid. Yehuda, ma betza. What gain do we get by killing the kid? One's a statement, one's a question. Yehuda, Reuven, you would say, is preaching. Lo nakenu nafesh. You are not allowed to do this. You can't kill someone. We're not listening to you. Yehuda, what gain do you get by killing? After he's dead, what do you have? You're right. We don't have a gain. You're right. Look at the second time. When Binyamin is called to go to Egypt, Reuven comes to his father and says to his father, give me the boy and let me take him. He says, no. Yehuda comes and Yehuda says, what was I supposed to tell the guy? That's what he says. What was I supposed to answer him when he said, do you have a kid? Was I supposed to lie? Was I supposed to know that he would tell me to bring the kid? The question. Yehuda said, you're right. You're right. What were you supposed to do? Take the kid. It makes sense. And now the third time, Yehuda, what are his words to Yosef? You tell me, how can I go home without? Give me the answer. I'm not preaching to you and saying, give me the boy. I'm saying, tell me what I should do. If I go home and there's no kid, my father's going to die. How can I go home? Please answer me. When you take it when you phrase the preach into a question, it's more respectful, first of all, to the person. You're respecting their intelligence. You're not telling them what to do. You're asking them a question. Answer me. By the way, if you're in sales, this is what we do in sales. We turn it into questions, right? Life insurance. The guy wants to sell life insurance, the classic life insurance, yeah? You need to buy life insurance because, God forbid, if you die, what is your wife and kids going to do? No thanks, not now. Or, hey, tell me something. God forbid, if something were to happen to you, what would your wife do? I don't know. Questions. Asking someone in a question format, it lets their guard go down. You're not preaching to them, and it has better results. This is leadership, in my opinion. Look at the way they do things. Reuven's preaching. No, nobody cares about the preacher. Nobody's listening to you. And so we go to people, and you want to correct them, and it all goes down to religious. The best is the religious correction because that's the most irritating. Someone wants to go to another person and tell them what you're doing is wrong, what you're doing is against the halakha. You shouldn't be doing X, Y, and Z. When it's for religious reasons, people feel they can go ahead and tell people what to do. And so the same thing would apply. You know what someone say? You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't tell me what to do. Right? A lot like last week's. Or you go to the person and you say, tell me, what do you gain by doing this? Do you think what you're doing is good for you? Question. Let the person figure the last part out on their own. That's the power of persuasion. Okay. And so we see a pattern here. Sarah, she has wisdom. She knows how to speak. She knows how to persuade. She knows how to get the other people to agree with what she says. That's a leader. Yehuda also knows how to persuade. Reuven looks like he didn't have that quality. And therefore, it makes sense that he lost the role of leader. Okay, one last part. There's a very interesting shot from Rabbi Yerucham Levavitz, who was a great Musar person, great Musar rabbi. If you look at Yosef Sadiq, when he pulls the curtain and he tells them, I am Yosef, and these guys are absolutely stunned. They're speechless. What does he say? He says, Ani Yosef Achichem, I am your brother Yosef, Asher mechatem oti Misraima, that you sold me to Egypt. Ve'ata, and now, al ta'atzivu, don't be upset. Ve'ayihad be'enechem, don't be angry. Ki mechatem oti hena, because you sold me here. It's twice now. Rubbing it in. You sold me here. That's twice. Because Hashem made this happen for a good reason, so I can sustain you all. Because we're in the years of famine. Hashem sent me here. You were just puppets for Hashem. Hashem made me come here so I can sustain you all. And so he says twice, I am the brother Yosef, you sold me to Egypt. Now, Yosef was toying with these guys for the past two parashiyot, and he's playing with their emotions. And finally, when the gig is up, he wants to say, guess what, guys? I am Yosef. You have to say, you guys sold me to Egypt. You guys sold me to Egypt. And he's trying to make peace because he's saying, come, talk to me, come, hug and kiss. So you're trying to make peace. If you're trying to make peace, could you stop saying, you guys sold me here, you guys sold me here? How is that accomplishing the goal? Just stop saying it. Water under the bridge. Forget about it. You want to move on? Forget about the past. And Rav Yerucham Lubavitch says a very powerful thing. He says, sometimes when people want to come and apologize for something, our immediate reaction is, don't worry about it. It's fine. I'm sorry for doing it. It's okay. Don't worry about it. It's nothing. Don't worry. Even the word for you're welcome in Spanish is what? You're welcome in Spanish. Parnada. Parnada? Well, if someone says, I'm sorry or thank you, what do you respond? A lot of times, parnada, no? De nada. Parnada, de nada.
The answer is, no, it's nada. No, it's nada. The right answer.
No es nada. What does that mean? It's nothing. This is not good. This is not good to say it's nothing. It's something. Exactly. It's not the right thing, says Rav Yerucham. It's not the right thing to say, no, it's nothing. Nothing. Says Rav Yerucham Lubavitch, when a person says, no need to apologize, the person really means to say, don't bother apologizing because I'm not letting you get away with an apology. If you think the apology is going to make this deal over, it's not. So there's no need for you to apologize. We want to even the score, and apology is not going to do it. You'll see sometimes when you apologize to someone, sometimes it's very hard for them to accept the apology in a real way and say, I forgive you for doing X, Y, Z. That's an acceptance of an apology. When someone says, I'm sorry for hurting you, I'm sorry for cheating you in business, the easy way out is, the natural way, it's nothing. It's fine, don't worry about it. I want this thing to go away. I don't want to confront it. The proper thing to do, he says, is to confront it head on. If you really care about the other person, feeling good about themselves and getting this over with, don't just brush it away. Embrace it and say, you hurt me. You hurt me and it hurt. And I suffered. But it's okay. I forgive you. That's accepting an apology. So Yosef Sadiq, he cares about them. Not that there should be this hidden, did he accept my apology? Are we really forgiven? And you see, even later, they still suspect it next week. They come back to him. Listen, what we did, Yosef says, you sold me to Egypt. Let's put it out there. You sold me to Egypt. And I forgive you for that. And don't be upset because you sold me to Egypt, because it was all for the good. That is the proper way to reconcile with someone. Put it out there. No, it's nothing. De nada? No de nada. It's something. It hurt. You hurt me, but I forgive you. That cares about the other person. And that's a lesson from, Ripon says, from Yosef HaSadiq, Asher mechatem otihena. That's if someone hurt you, but it also applies if someone says thank you, he says. If you did a big favor for someone and you bailed them out and you gave them money they needed or something, the person says, by the way, thank you so much for doing, it's okay, it's nothing. We also do that. Why do we do that? It's not nothing. What you did took time and effort and sometimes money. Why do we do that? Why are we so afraid of admitting to another person it was something, for the good and for the bad? Thank you so much for watching my kids while I was away. It wasn't easy. I did watch your kids while you were away. You are welcome. Me personally, I try my best to never use the words, it's nothing. What's the words? No, in English, we would say, no worries. No worries. No problem. No big deal. I try my best never to use these words. No problem. And instead, if you text me, you know this. I try my best to write my pleasure. My pleasure. If we turn no problem into my pleasure, is it? Don't tell the person, no problem. No, it was a problem. It's my pleasure to help you with this problem. You make the person feel good about themselves. Not that just, it's nothing. And we learn this lesson from Yosef Sadiq. I forgive you for selling me to Egypt. This is the last lesson I want to give. And so therefore we have what? We have Serach Batashev. And so now you know, if someone asks you, or you go ask someone trivia question, where else do we find Serach Batashev? We find her in Samuel 2, chapter 20. She's the wise woman about whom Shlomo HaMelech says, Piha patha b'chokhmah. She opened her mouth in wisdom. This is Serach Batashev. She had a way with the words, and she knew how to talk to people and get them to accept. Yehuda and Reuven. I think it's a great lesson. Reuven is preaching, preaching, preaching. Do this. Don't kill. Give me the boy. Doesn't work. Instead, turn him into questions. Just like last week. Turn him into questions. Yehuda, what gain do we get by killing him? Right? And he goes to the father. What was I supposed to say to the guy when he asked if I have a brother? Binyamin, what am I supposed to do? Should I go back without the kid? And each time he was successful. This is the way, plus the last part, of acknowledging someone and saying, it was a deal, it was a big deal, but it's okay, we're good. Making the person feel whole. It shows that you care about the other person and not just about yourself. These are the lessons from this week's Pirasha. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great week. Hazak